If you are looking for the best way to manage your Guild Wars 2 add-ons, then I've got you covered. Today I'm going to walk you through how I easily stay on top of all of my Guild Wars 2 add-ons with the incredible Nexus Addon Manager. Let's dive in. Now, first things first, to download Nexus, you're going to head over to raidcore.gg and simply download the installer from here. Now, depending on your browser, you may get a security pop-up, but it's fine. Just work your way through the prompts and you're going to be good to go. Now, you can simply open up the installer and work through the prompts. Now, we can see right here, Windows has given us the warning, but it's okay. We can just run it anyway. We do not need to worry about it. Now, it's found where our Guild Wars 2 installation is, so we simply need to install Nexus. Or in my case, because I already had Guild Wars 2 open, make sure you have it closed and then try and run the installer. And just like that, we've gone and downloaded Nexus. You can see here we have the D3, D11 file sitting in our Guild Wars 2 folder. So that is all we need to do to install Nexus for the time being. We can simply quit out of that, then open up Guild Wars 2. Now let's jump into Guild Wars 2 and let's continue configuring Nexus. Beautiful. Now, as soon as we're in Guild Wars 2, you can simply click agree to the prompt and we are in Nexus and we are ready to get started. Now, I'll just close out of this for the time being. Now, for the reasons why I love Nexus, first up, it is incredibly easy to install. It's just a few button presses. We don't need to manually install any DLL files. It's incredibly easy, just a few clicks and we are there. Another one of the incredibly powerful things about Nexus is the fact that it can auto update as well as disable and manage all of your add-ons. Now, this is very important for me because I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday over on Twitch. And for me here in Australia, Wednesday is when the Guild Wars 2 patch will normally land. Now, when a big patch lands, it's quite likely that ArcDPS is going to break and I'm going to be left scrambling to fix it just before I go live. Now, once you install an add-on, if there is a big patch that will break an add-on or cause it to crash your game, Nexus will go through and automatically disable it. So rather than me having to go into my game files and remove my ArcDPS file until a patch has been released, Nexus will take care of it for me. Now, my life is made drastically easier by that, and I do not have to debug ArcDPS whenever I'm going live. And plus, it will give you a notification saying that that add-on has been disabled, and you can then go through and re-enable it at your leisure if it turns out it actually didn't break the game. But rather than instantly crashing your game, this means you can dive right in, which is great.
Looks great!
Now let's quickly jump into the game for a change of scenery. Beautiful, that's much better. Now you'll see there's a little Nexus icon at the top of your screen, so we can just click on that and start configuring. Now we'll simply start in the add-ons tab first, and if we go over to library, because you can see we have nothing installed at the moment, we have a huge list of add-ons that we can go through and install. Now I always say Guild Wars 2 is the MMO for people without a huge amount of free time, so being able to simply browse all of these add-ons here without having to scour Reddit posts and GitHub pages, this is an absolute lifesaver. Now take the time to have a bit of a browse through here, see what interests you, but I'm going to walk you through the main add-ons that I use day to day. Now first up, I'm going to install ArcDPS and we are done. If we come back over to the install tab, we can see that ArcDPS is sitting here. If we just click load, beautiful. Now we just have the prompt saying ArcDPS will be loaded after we restart the game. So once we're ready to go through and configure this more, we'll exit out of Guild Wars 2, come back in and get everything set up just how we like it. But for now, let's add in a few more. Now personally, I think ArcDPS is one of the most important add-ons you can install in Guild Wars 2, and I have an entirely separate video on my channel where you can go through and see how to install it manually if you prefer. But trust me, being able to see your DPS, how much you're contributing to the group, as well as that of your teammates to see how you're stacking up, is incredibly useful information. So I highly recommend you install ArcDPS. It is absolutely game changing. Now another one I really like is the radial menus add-on. Now this is going to add in a circular pop-up menu to control my mounts, which is very handy, especially because there are 9 mounts in Guild Wars 2 nowadays. So setting reasonable keybinds for that can be a little bit annoying. Now personally, I have my mount set to my number pad on the side of my keyboard, but having this option for a pop-up in the middle of my screen is very handy, and we'll showcase it once we actually have it installed. There we go, we've clicked on that. Now if we head over to the install tab, we can see radial menus here. We will just load that, and there we go, we are all set. Now there's a few extra add-ons that I want to install within ArcDPS itself, a few little nice bonus features that do make life much easier. So I'm going to exit out of Guild Wars 2, come back in, and then we can actually start adding things into ArcDPS. Fortunately, Nexus makes this really, really easy. Beautiful, we're back into the game now, and you can see the ArcDPS options tab has popped up. So that means ArcDPS is installed successfully. We'll X out of this for now. There is a lot of extra configuring that you can do in ArcDPS, but we won't touch these options for now. If you do want to dive into these options more, like I mentioned before, we have a fully detailed guide on how to set up ArcDPS, which will cover a lot of these options and what they do. So if you want to see how to install and configure ArcDPS exactly as I have it, I'll make sure to link my video down in the description below so you can check that out. But for now, let's dive back into Guild Wars 2. Beautiful. ArcDPS is installed correctly. You can see our little DPS window sitting up there. We'll just drag that a little bit out the way and I'll press Alt-Shift-H just to hide that. There we go. Now back to Nexus. Now you can see we've got a new tab for the ArcDPS plugin, so I'll go through and just install a few others that I like to use here. Now first up there is the Boon Table add-on, which I'll just click and install. Now what that does is it gives you a very easy way to see the overall boon uptime for you and your squad in a much more user-friendly and readable format than what I find the default ArcDPS option gives you. So I really like this one. Now another really useful one is the unofficial extras add-on for ArcDPS. Now the description here will provide other add-ons with additional information. So basically this allows other add-ons to read things like your keybinds and things like that. There are a few other useful options in this, which I will touch on. Simply click install and there we go. That's taken care of. Again, there's a lot of other add-ons you can install here. I've used the food reminder before. That's quite nice. Killproof.me is also a very nice plugin, but yeah, just have a bit of a peruse, see what's interesting here. And yeah, you can install them super easily. Just like that, you're off to the races. Now, just to make sure these extra add-ons we've installed to ArcDPS are active, we'll just exit out of the game and come back in again, so sit tight. Beautiful, we're back into Guild Wars 2 now. Now, if we press Alt, Shift, and B, there we go, we can see the boon table there. So we have, percentage uptimes for Fury, Protection, Quickness, and Alacrity by default. Got some Might in there as well. We can drag that around, see where we want it to fit. Again, my separate ArcDPS video will show you exactly how I configure this, so we'll just leave this here for now. But if we pull up our ArcDPS options with Alt, Shift, and T, and if we come over to the extensions tab, there we go, we've got some boon table options there, but also within the unofficial extras tab, which we now have, we have a few very useful options here. Now personally, the ones that I quite like are the hide personal story, hide achievements, hide hearts, and hide bonus events. We can showcase what that actually does. If we click hide personal story, we'll just check that, and also hide bonus event, which you can see we've got personal story here as well as the Lunar New Year stuff. Now what is going to happen when we'll just exit out of that, if we go and change map and come back in, what you'll actually see is we will no longer see those on the edge of our screen. So it is going to free up a ton of screen real estate. Super nice. And there we go. That section of our screen is now completely clear. So if I was to go back and re-enable that because I want to do some of the story or check bonus event stuff, we can simply click on that. We will exit out, change map again, and they should pop right back up as soon as we load in. Beautiful. And there they are, right back where they belong. So it's a super handy option. If you're not doing the story or don't want to see certain event pop-ups, you can disable them there. Cleans up the UI. It's very nice. Now, another useful option that I haven't personally used, you can set up per profession keybinds here. Now, this is something that I know a lot of people have asked for in the past for Guild Wars 2. So if this interests you, definitely install this plugin. But now for our radial menus add-on, we're going to go back to Nexus and we're going to go and configure our radial menus here. And now to actually get this working, we're going to come down to our keybind section here, click on mounts, and just set the keybind we want to actually trigger our mount wheel. I like using the middle mouse button, so let's just press that. Done. Accept. Cool. Now if we exit out of that, right there, we have our radial mount add-on. And because we have the unofficial extras add-on, it's now actually pulling in our mount keybinds from Guild Wars 2. So honestly, we're off to the races now. Now, there's a few things I like to do to make this operate how I like, so let's just dive on in. So if we click in settings, now if we click on mounts and then go to settings, and if we scroll right down to the bottom here, I do like to have this drawn in the center of the screen, so we'll simply click that, and there we go. That's just always going to spawn in the middle of the screen, which I personally like. I find it much less disorientating than when it spawns everywhere else on the screen. But you can also change things like the icon size and the overall radial menu size here, so just have a bit of a play and see what works for you. Now, a very nice thing to actually set up in Nexus, thank you so much to Exodum and PK over on Twitch for letting me know about this, I've neglected this for quite some time, is to manually add in some of your keybinds, particularly things for your mounts. Because even though we have the unofficial extras add-on, which will pull our keybinds from Guild Wars 2 into into Nexus and everything's all good. When ArcDPS is down, particularly if there's a big patch, unofficial extras also won't work, so your keybinds won't get pulled in. So when ArcDPS breaks, it then means your radial menus breaks. So we can get around that by manually adding in our mount keybind. So let's go do that quick. Beautiful. Now just come over to the keybinds tab, go over to Guild Wars 2. In my case, I'd scroll down to the mount section. It looks like this has automatically been populated, maybe because I've installed the unofficial extras add-on. But if your radial menus isn't working because ArcDPS is down, you can just come in here and input your keybinds manually. Then everything will work. You won't need to worry about ArcDPS being down. So it's a very handy tip. For now, this is all good though, so won't worry about that anymore. Now, another very handy tip, if you are a Blish HUD enjoyer like me, there's one module you're going to want to install within Blish HUD just to make sure it plays nice with Nexus. So I'll show you that quickly. First, we're going to go up to Blish HUD. Now, if you don't already have it, you're going to go to the module repo and you're going to look for the Nexus shim add-on. Now, this really just provides some basic integration with Nexus. So the main thing is it's going to make sure that the icon for Blish and Nexus do not overlap. So then, yeah, you can actually click things correctly. So just install that and you're good to go. So if you use Blish HUD, make sure you install this module. It's going to make your life much easier. But for me, these are the main add-ons that I will use in Guild Wars 2. There's been others that I've tinkered around with, but these 4 that I've installed are my day-to-day favorite ones. So absolutely have a browse through here, see what interests you. There is a ton of useful things in here. And let me know in the comments below if you already use Nexus and what are your favorite add-ons to install. And thank you all so much for watching. Nexus has become an absolutely non-negotiable part of my Guild Wars 2 setup, and I cannot imagine my life without it. It's made managing my add-ons infinitely easier than what it used to be. And if you are interested in extra add-ons for Guild Wars 2, particularly Blish HUD, I've got an entire video dedicated on how to install and set up Blish HUD linked right here, so make sure you go check that out. But with that, I'll catch you all next time. Cheers.